everybody. Welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. This is the show where I, your host, Rebecca, recap live trials. Currently covering two trials. Nevada versus Thomas Randolph. That one doesn't start till 10:30 this morning, which we're not there yet. It's still earlier than that here. And the other trial is, what is the name of it? Henry Denkins. Yes. Idaho versus Henry Denkins. I had to think about it. I've been listening to it all morning because they have had his son on the stand and he's only 11 years old. So that's what we're going to talk about today. You're like, what? A child on the stand? Yeah. But they're not showing him. So he's safe. Okay. I need some coffee. He sounds very mature for his age, which I suspect his sister was too. Henry Denkins is charged with the kidnapping and murder of this little boy's older sister. He was 6 years old at the time that this occurred. She was 10 years old. All morning, I've had that Barbie song in my head. What is going on? I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I know. And my friend Mickey is calling me. Mickey, I'll call you right back. Anyway, she obviously did not read the message where I said, hey, I'm recording a show. So here's what I got done over the weekend. Yes, we're almost halfway there. Look, guys, the confetti is real. Oh my God, it looks so good on camera, doesn't it? So I got the first window going down here. Wow, this is glow in the dark. I decided to put the name in glow in the dark. Oh my God, girl, stop calling me. Anyway, yes, glow in the dark. Actually, when I'm looking at it up close and you're putting the H down for the 10th time, you've got the H's out because you still forgot that one right there. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything up close, but when you get far away, look how pretty it looks. Okay, we're done with that. We're just going to put that right there until I can put it where it belongs. Anyway, today I'm going to start working again on my logo painting. She just sent me another message. She goes, oh, I should have read your message first. She's so funny. Yes, going to work on this one. This one is pink. I love pink. Okay, so let's go back to the Henry Denkins trial. So Henry Denkins, let me just bring you up to speed on Henry Denkins now that I've got the name down pat. His son, all right, let me back up here. Mom, she's driving around with his son, which is one of her three children. And he says, oh, there's Dad. So they pull into the quick stop and she arranges for her son to spend a few days with his father. So she arranges because she works at a burger joint. And she was going to be at work when he was going to come pick up his son. So she arranges for him to come pick up his son at her grandma's house. So this happens. He comes and picks up her son at grandma's house, except that Briasia, his older sister, said, no, I'm coming with you. So he takes them both. Now, I don't know that is equivalent to kidnapping. She later on brings over pajamas for them to have a sleepover at his house. And I'm saying all that to say this. He is a registered sex offender. Mm-hmm. Also, when he met the baby mama, she was 18, 19 years old, and he was in his 40s. He's now 51 years old with an 11-year-old son. Anyway, not supposed to be around children at all. Now, I don't know that she knew he was a registered sex offender. Maybe she didn't know. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. She didn't know. Anyway, she acquiesces, in my opinion, to her daughter spending the night with her younger brother and Henry Denkins and his girlfriend. I don't know that she knew he had another girlfriend. Anyhow, on during the night, sometime during the night, he disappears. Henry gets up and disappears with the little girl. She's never seen again. They find her body several months later by a place called Credit Island. So the testimony so far as it's like a lot of location stuff. Here's this, and it's this far from this far, and we know that he stopped at Walmart that morning at 7 o'clock to buy a couple of bottles of bleach, which is always suspect. Like, if you're going to commit a murder, do not stop at Walmart and buy bleach afterwards because they're going to find you on the surveillance video. Just saying, not a smart move. Okay, that's my murder. How to get away with murder 101 from Rebecca. Yes, it's Monday and I'm in a good mood. Yes, I am. Okay. So they put on some criminal crime scene investigators who talked about what they took pictures of, and they showed the pictures, and uh, they found this area called Credit Island, and it's not far from where Henry Denkins has an RV parked. There's 3 vehicles involved in this kidnapping. There's an RV, there's two cars, an Impala, and there's some other kind of car. So I suspect one of the cars might be Henry's girlfriend's car. I'm not sure. The last time Briasia is seen is at 3:30 in the morning when Henry comes back from wherever he's gone. The girlfriend wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's got to go to the bathroom. Henry's gone. The little girl's gone. She sits up and waits for him to come back. 3:30, he comes back. He's fishing around for something in the closet. And she looks out the window and sees Briasia standing next to his vehicle. That is the last time she was seen. Yeah. So a lot of testimony about, what did you do with the vehicle and what did you photograph and this, that, and the other. And then I'm very distracted this morning. The lawyer that is representing Henry Denkins, I kept saying to myself, God, he looks familiar. Where do I know him from? If I finally figured it out. This is when you've been doing trials for way too long. He was in a prior trial that I covered. Molly Tibbetts. I don't know if you remember Molly Tibbetts. She was living with her boyfriend. She went jogging one morning or one day, and she's never seen again. So this Mexican is on trial. He's I don't know if he was there illegally, but probably there illegally, migrant worker. And he's was arrested for her kidnapping and murder, and he's later convicted of her kidnapping and murder. And it was a very unusual trial because everything had to be done through an interpreter. It was quite interesting, and he had like a really crazy alibi. Like somebody kidnapped him and forced him to do it. It was just this weird alibi. Anyway, this was his defense attorney, but he was defending that case with his wife. They were like a husband and wife duo, and I was very impressed with his wife. Well, she's not here in this case; it's just him. So I don't know what I don't. I want to say that she might have been pregnant at the time that she was trying that other case, but I could be wrong. I don't know where she is. Maybe maybe this is just not a case she was familiar with. In any case, he's defending and he's doing a really good job of it. He's a pretty good lawyer. So finally, we get to some interesting testimony. I'm listening to this thing, trying, muddling through it all weekend because it's very technical testimony. It's being tried in front of a judge. This defendant has opted to not have a jury decide his fate. He wants the judge to decide whether he's guilty or not. Interesting strategy. So it's a bench trial. So I'm listening to all this technical stuff all week, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to muddle through it. I'm reading what I wrote down, and I'm like, yeah, not much. So apparently they narrow this area. They know he stopped at Walmart at 7 o'clock the next morning, and then they know he was out at this area called Credit Island, and that's because of the phone records and all that stuff. So Credit Island is this, it's this, you have to get through it on a dirt road, and then you have to pull off this dirt road, and it's a big lake. And anyway, that's where they end up finding Briage's body months later. But they also found flip flops. They canvassed the mom's neighborhood, where she lived, her apartment. They canvassed that neighborhood. They canvassed Henry Denkins' neighborhood. Didn't find any clues as to where this girl went. So there was really no evidence that she just wandered off, or somebody would have caught her on the Ring camera, and obviously that didn't come in. So I'm guessing she didn't wander off. She was taken somewhere. They found some footprints out by that area on Credit Island. We haven't heard, they casted the footprints, which means they make a mold and then they match it to shoes later on. We haven't heard what happened with that evidence. Then, let's see, what else did I write down? So there was no evidence that anyone looked for Briasia. Like when they looked on the Ring cameras, nobody was looking for her. Nobody was searching for her. Nobody was knocking on doors, except Henry was just riding around. They were riding around. Which, there is my. It works at the weirdest times, my clock. Okay. And when they searched the vehicles, there was no trace evidence, even though when they know Briasia had been in one of those vehicles, no trace evidence of her having been there. There's no blood, no hair, no fibers, nothing untoward in any of these vehicles. So we just don't know what the heck happened with this young girl. So then they put on this little boy, 11 years old now, and very mature sounding. And there's two female attorneys, prosecutors. One, she's probably about my age, maybe a little younger. Not quite as old as me, but maybe, I don't know. I could still be working if I wanted to. If I wanted to. Anyway, I'm fun employed. So she's trying the case, but she has a younger assistant prosecutor with her. And so the younger girl was asking questions, and she did a really good job. She just, they're not standing up, they're sitting down. The camera's not on the witness, camera's on the attorney asking the questions, and she's just kind of walking him through this visit with dad that weekend. And I'm doing this from memory. So this little boy talked about how his sister wanted to come with him, and so dad allowed that to happen. And so they get over to the girlfriend's house. Now he didn't know that was dad's girlfriend until after, I guess, he gets there. He had never met this girl before. So he and his sister are playing video games. And at some point, mom comes over. She doesn't get out of her car. The Briasia and her little brother, they're calling him D. It's the first initial. D and Briasia go downstairs to meet their mom and get their pajamas and say goodbye, mom. And it's at this point that if she didn't want that child there, she should have said, "Hey, no, you're coming with me. Briasia, get in the car." No, she handed her, "Here's your jammies. Go stay with the sex offender. Okay, have a good time." Um, so they take their jammies, they go back in the house, they each take a shower separately, but for some reason they don't put on the jammies mom brought them. They put on these extra large t-shirts that belong to Henry Denkins, who's probably a 4XL at best. Very tall, very large, and intimidating looking guy. So he remembers they after they got showered and ready for bed, they ate, they had something to eat, and then they went to sleep. And he remembers they went in the bedroom, into the bed, and went to sleep. And then he remembers there was a blow up mattress out in the other room where Henry and the girlfriend were going to sleep. But he remembers seeing Henry out there, not in the bed, but just sitting out in the living room, watching them in the bedroom. And he thought that was kind of odd. He was just staring at them. But they fall asleep. He wakes up during the night because he thinks his sister kicked him. And he kind of wakes up and he goes back to sleep. Then he wakes up again and Briasia's gone. So he goes out to the living room and he thinks it's morning because it was kind of daylight out. And he says, where's Briasia? And she doesn't answer him or she doesn't know. Anyway, they didn't know where's Henry. So at some point, the little boy starts crying. He says, because I was all alone. He had asked the girlfriend, can I use your phone? Because he was going to call his mom to come get him. And she says, no, you can't use my phone. So I think that's probably when he started crying. His sister's gone. Dad's nowhere to be found. So dad comes home. This had to be pretty early because the Walmart footage is 7 o'clock in the morning. And the little boy said he was with dad when he went to the Walmart. So dad comes home, picks up the little boy. They get in the car and he grabs the bag of clothes that mom brought for them and takes that in the car. So the little boy's assuming he's taking him home. But he takes him for a ride. He said, we're going for a ride, which he thought meant a joyride. He took him somewhere where he was fishing. And the little boy said he was kind of like fishing, but he really wasn't fishing. But yes, he stood at the side of the body of water and he cast a pole. But he didn't catch anything. I don't know. Then they went to Walmart. He stayed in the car. And dad went into the Walmart to buy the bleach. And when he bought the bleach, he came back and put it in the trunk. While dad was in the Walmart, little boy, he's bored. He's sitting there. He sees dad's cell phone in the cup holder with the battery removed, probably because he didn't want it to track him. Little boy puts the battery back in it and starts playing his game, which is how they found the cell phone records, found him at the Walmart. Anyway, but when dad comes out of the Walmart, little boy takes it back apart, takes the battery out, puts it back where he found it because he didn't want to get in trouble. Cute little boy. So then he said they went to this area where there was a lot of dirt and trees, and dad gets out of the car. He stayed in the car. Dad takes the bleach out of the trunk and pours it on a bush, and then puts the cap back on it and puts it back in the trunk. And then they get in the car, and at some point they see the mom driving around, so they pull over. They see her in traffic, so they pull over at a McDonald's. So that is where I've left off on this testimony, because it ended by this time on Friday afternoon. The judge is like, okay, we're done for the night. Because I think they were trying to get this little boy's testimony in so they could fly him back home, wherever it is he lives. But obviously, the judge was like, no, it's late. You could tell the little boy was getting tired and he confused. And so they resumed the testimony this morning. So I'll pick that up where they left. I really want to see how the defense handles this 11-year-old. Is he going to try to confuse him? What's his strategy going to be? Which I think would be sad. Like it's very delicate when you're dealing with minors. But in any case, what did this man do with his sister? Crazy. Well, I think we know he murdered her. Oh, the little boy, he did testify that they stopped at his RV and dad took a machete out of the trunk, a bloody knife, this boy said, and he described it as large, like a machete. And he wiped it off poured the bleach over it, and then he put it into the RV and then closed the trunk and then got back in. Got that little detail. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that we'll ever know the whole true story of how this girl was taken during the night and ends up dead. In any case, poor decision making all around on the part of these parents. You don't need a license to be a parent. Nope. It's unfortunate. Okay. So it's Monday. What else do we talk about? All right, so I'm going to cover that trial. I'm going to listen to whatever happens in the other trial today with Thomas Randolph, because that should be interesting. I am waiting for the girlfriend to take the stand. That may not be till she might be their last witness because you want her to be impactful. So we'll see. Yes. Thomas Randolph, he's the one that is accused of murdering his sixth wife, and who he claims he interrupted a burglary. So his wife is murdered by the burglar, so he shoots the burglar. Well, now he's on trial for conspiracy because he groomed the burglar. He hired him. He gave him the gun. Yeah, he groomed the burglar. He knew the burglar. They had spent the entire day together. Everybody knew the burglar, Michael. So but it came out last week that there was a seventh potential wife in the making. Yes, and he had a girlfriend at the time. And everybody knew he had a girlfriend. He said, and I quote, well, I'm not going to use the F word because he uses the F word. He said, I can F anybody I want to. Well, there you go. She's going to take the stand. Hopefully it's today because I need something interesting to listen to, right? Right. All right, guys, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow on Crafting and Crime Daily. And I hope you guys had a good weekend. Let me know down in the comments what to do this weekend. And diamond painting, crochet. I worked on my crochet baby blanket. I finally looked up how to do the trim because I'm ready to like put the last row on it and do the trim and wash it and put it in the mail before the kid goes to college. Yes. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow in Crafting and Crime Daily. Bye, everybody.